Back to investigation segment tonight. We have been looking at the far-left group, the Association of Community Organizations for Reform, now better known as Acorn. Tomorrow night we will tell you all about their money depot in New Orleans. We sent Factor producer Dan Bank down there, and they weren't happy to see Dan.
Sir, we just have a couple questions.
I'm not manager, and you're not going.
We're just trying. Well, we want to know what's going on at Elysian Fields Avenue.
All right, we will have Dan's full report tomorrow, and we'll tell you what's going on at Elysian Fields Avenue in New Orleans. But tonight, let's bring in our pal Glenn Beck, who's also investigating Acorn. Now, I want you to explain to the folks why this is important to Americans. Why should they care about this community activist group?
Because it's not just a community activist group. It's about 270 organizations. It goes to the power centers of unions all the way to Congress, to the White House. This is a huge story of corruption. And nobody really seems, I mean, everybody is kicking dirt over the tracks. New York Times, they threw you under the bus, I saw. Right. You are such a distorter.
Well, we'll get to that in a moment, but let's define Acorn for people who don't really know what it is. It's a community grassroots organization, and they're in most states, all right? We've got some out on Long Island where I live. And they basically register people to vote. They count people for the census. They try to get favorable mortgages for the poor people. They're working for the poor people, right?
No, what they're doing is they're taking poor people off the street, roping them in, getting them to be volunteers. And I mean, not just poor people, but people who have
volunteers to do what?
To go and register people, but they put pressure on them. They go out and they say, okay, you bring back 21 signatures, and if you don't bring back 21, you're fired.
So it's like the Moonies or the Hare Krishnas, who they get people in and they say, you better sell this amount of flowers today,
right?
Or you know, we're going to put you in a basement.
Which leads to, this is why you have so many fraudulent registrations.
Okay. Now, did they get paid per signature, per voter sign up, or
no?
Why the pressure on these people to get people to sign up to vote?
Because Acorn does get money. They get money for X number of people that are registered.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So all of their community activism, Acorn's activism, leads to payments by the state and other left-wing groups, George Soros's group and this and that. Now, the money trail, and you did very good work on this, is now down to New Orleans. And we went down there, and again, we'll show you what we have tomorrow, because we're taking a little bit of time to just lay it out so you know the enormity of the money. Because we're talking about millions of dollars here, all going into a little house on Elysian Avenue.
No, it's not just a little house. This is an old funeral home. This, where he's going in right now, is an old funeral home. 270 organizations or thereabout all have their address.
And the money all goes in there.
All goes there. I had two people on yesterday from Acorn. They were showing me, they call it the shell game.
Okay, so you think that this is another Mooney operation. Sun Young Moon, remember, comes over and gets this big religion thing going on with thousands of disciples. He becomes fabulously wealthy. The Krishna people, the same thing. You believe that this is what this is about?
I don't know what this is, Bill, but I will tell you this, that I think there are people that are in Congress that have been silenced. They're not looking into it.
Well, it's a liberal group. Why do they want to?
There is enough reason to look into this. This isn't just. This is not just somebody who is furthering your progressive.
The Attorney General is never going to look into this the way it stands now.
Let me tell you something.
Bush had 8 years to look into it.
There are people that are involved in this one. This one, I have no idea how big. Who's making money? I don't think it ends in New Orleans. I think it begins.
No, that's where the money goes.
Now,
and then where it go from there?
Where does it go from there?
When you heard last night that the New York Times killed the story linking Acorn directly to the Obama campaign, we exposed that on the Factor, and they attacked me.
Yeah.
You said, good, I'm glad O'Reilly got slapped around by the Times.
Absolutely.
What did you say?
Absolutely. You are such a distorter of the truth. The bastion of truth and righteousness is the New York Times. You know, there's no way that the New York Times is going to expose these people either. Look, Why is it no one is asking simple questions? You have people inside Acorn right now
saying
on my program,
fraud.
it's a fraud, begging, please, somebody in Congress, please invest. People who are board members.
Okay. Well, tomorrow we're going to lay out the money trail, and maybe they will. Now, I was watching your program this afternoon, and you were interviewing the governor of South Carolina. Good guy, right?
Sure.
And you're eating Chinese food while doing it. Is there any excuse for that, Beck?
Ben Stein brought me some.
Oh, so, okay, let me get this straight.
He misunderstood.
So if somebody brings me food interviewing you, I have a right to chow down right in front of him?
He misunderstood. I said, teach your children to speak Mandarin Chinese, because it's coming. Teach your children how to speak Mandarin Chinese. He just heard the Chinese part. He brought Chinese.
And you had to eat it during the interview with the governor.
I'm a busy man. It's a very low-class show,
Do you remember Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Yes, I do.
Bueller.
Yes.
Beck.
Yeah.
That was you sitting in that classroom.
Yes, it was.
All right. If I were the governor, I'd slap you silly if you ate.
That's why he was on via satellite.